What's that? Oh, shit. Camera Hollywood camera. Is that what I called you
Something
the
like
other
that.
day?
Something like that.
Hi, everyone.
Hello
We're back.
again.
Day 3. One more day, as we kept telling people. Everyone's feeling the burn, and so we're just like giving that little bit of one more day, guys. Just one
Hang
more.
in
We're
there.
almost there. Almost there.
But also so scary. Only one more day.
Yeah. Yeah. One more day that may be a little more packed than we anticipated because of some reschedules and some other stuff, but we'll get into that at the end. But um, yeah, um, fun day, fun, fulfilling, exciting day. Lots of stuff this was like, first day was a busy, busy, busy day. Second day was a
hmm
light day, but it had some big hitters, right? But I feel like this is the day that felt like the most anticipated, right? Like as far as like what was scheduled was like things that we were most excited about probably.
Agreed.
And it lived up to the hype. Um, and so yeah, any just general thoughts on day 3, VGG, Paxi, Westy,
I mean, you pretty much said it
Julie?
all. Okay, bars. You pretty much said it all. I would also say, I think we've been doing this a little bit every day, but today just had some of those moments where it's again like, oh, like really like made a connection with this
Yeah.
person, like stamp like that sort of
Social link.
connection. Yeah, formed. But again, like thinking back on it, we've kind of had at least like one
One a
thing like
day.
that every
Yeah, yeah.
day, at least. But
Which
yeah,
is cool.
it's nice that we're coming away from these days feeling that because we're both very chronically
Introverted.
anxious
We
and
live in our
introverted
cave.
people. So we're doing it every
Yeah.
day. Every day we're leaving the show floor. We're like, we're doing it.
We're doing the damn thing.
That's the vibe.
And we're doing the damn things content wise. Like I feel like
hmm
we're getting a lot of cool stuff. We've been putting out, I mean, like, not to toot our own horn, but like we're putting out daily videos while we're here. Like
Unheard of. We're
that's
we're not content creators. I mean, clearly, but
I mean also I mean just like that's thanks to our community
yeah,
for helping raise some money for us to be able to buy some cool tech upgrades that has made this possible. Like it
for
was
sure.
something I wouldn't have thought to try. Now we have like a mobile base so that we can do this.
hmm
Like again, like we do every not E3. So it's cool to have that as like a supplementary thing for us now.
Yeah.
Um, shall we get into the day?
Let's dive in.
Day started, shitty hotel coffee.
Y'all, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of it.
And we did not eat the breakfast at the hotel because it's
hmm
been progressively busier each day. So we did in hotel room coffee maker oatmeal.
We're innovators here.
We have the little like portable oatmeals, and we just use the coffee maker to put the hot water in.
Let me just say, okay, today, for the first time ever, we have like eating utensils
Now,
right
not
now.
not like earlier. Now
Right
we do.
now, as of like
A couple
2
hours
2
ago.
p.m.
Yeah.
and then we just got a little bit more. Until then, we have been without eating utensils. So this morning we ate our little cups of oatmeal with like
A stir
scooping
stick.
it into our mouths with a coffee stirring stick. So to show you just how innovative we are being, living within
How
our
frugal.
means.
And sure, could we ask the hotel for utensils? Probably.
Probably.
Would we? No.
No, because we have to save our energy for the expo hall.
Which worked out for us today now, didn't it? Got to the show floor pretty much as it opened this time. Still have not quite accomplished making it to the show floor ahead of time, but maybe tomorrow. Probably not. um, but
Headed straight over to PAX Rising.
yeah, that was our first thing of the day. That was our plan
hmm
because we have, as you'll hear shortly, we had an appointment in that area set for it was like 11:30 or something, And so we were like, let's just go straight there and try to check some other stuff out.
Hmm.
While we're there, PAX Rising is again, you submit to be chosen, and then they did label them as winners. So like they are
Hmm.
the
Yeah, it's
winners
like a
of
curated,
the showcase
selected list.
this year, and there are about 8, I think, or 9.
Yeah,
I think it might be 9.
that sounds right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I don't know. But there's a lot of cool games being showcased in the PAX Rising area, and we beelined for a game. We may have teased you about it earlier. Community Discord chat for a game called Draculesti, which, I mean, if the best way to summarize it, I think, is the photo that's on screen now. And I can't remember the exact verbiage. Do you know right now off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I do not. But basically, the way they're pitching it to everyone walking up was, "Hey, like, do you want to talk to me about gay vampires?" That sort of vibe. So I know that you right now, you want to talk to us about gay vampires, and so we're going to talk to you about Draculesti, which is the first game that we demoed today, and got to chatting with some of the team who were really cool people. And yeah, so Draculesti is a visual novel um, about Dracula and what's his name? I'm not as familiar.
Renfield.
Renfield. I'm actually not as familiar with the actual literature Dracula, even though
What
I'm
the
an English
hell?
major. Don't tell anybody.
The exact verbiage is gay Dracula. Need we
Need we
say
say more?
more?
Yeah, so true.
And so it was one of we walk. You see that as we already kind of knew this was, queer retelling basically of
Yeah.
the novel. Well, should we say queer retelling of the novel when it's already there, kind of? Um, but then to
A
walk up
queer
and
expansion.
yeah, expansion pack, the gay
Yeah,
DLC for
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
novel.
A long time coming, I'll tell you what.
But seeing that exact sign
Hmm.
worded that way, like felt like, oh yeah, that's our community. That
That's
that
for
is
us.
that's like 90% of our community.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we walked up and yeah, we started chatting, and it was just a really nice time. There was someone on the demo station, so what else are we to do? Chatting about the show, chatting about just everything, and then happen to eventually talk about the fact that we do uh you know semi-regular streamed visual novel book club, uh and they're like, oh, that's cool, and then like some time passes and they go, what games have you played, and then started talking about some of them. What was the first one? I'm trying to think. Please Be
Please Be
Happy.
Happy,
Yeah.
which is what we started Friends Book Club series with. Um, and then, yeah, we were just sort of like naming some off. And then, of course, we got to one of our favorites, one of our Game of the Year nominees, Amarantis.
And then they pop off. They're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yeah, me, I love Amarantis too. And then they're like, no, you don't understand. I'm from Australia. The developer, Rukia, is one of my dear friends. And we're like, huh? And they're like, what the heck? Like, and they like, hold on. I'm gonna do a voice note to them directly on this group chat that we're in. And then yeah, that was just such a fun little moment where we just suddenly had this connection, because obviously we love Amarantis. We have such a fun relationship there with the developers, and we gave it so much love, and then to just randomly run into someone who is, that's the kind of thing we don't expect we're probably ever going to meet, you know the team over there, that they're in Australia, and you just run into someone uh, who knows them, which is so cool. Um, Anyways, then we start to finally actually play the game, which yeah, you unironically, like part of the reason this caught our eye is because when we first saw the footage of it, when we saw that it was part of the PAX Rising, I was like, oh, this kind of has like Amaranth's vibes, you
Mm.
know, just our aesthetically, I feel like, you know, and just like in the ways that it's cinematically enhancing the visual novel. And so, yeah, we finally got to eventually play, and you can kind of talk about your experience.
Yeah, so there were like a few routes that you could go down in terms of like the romance. So there was Dracula. You're playing as
Renfield
Renfield, so you could romance Dracula. Says,
says, I think, yeah,
yeah, it's like
Dracula is one of
his wife,
yeah one of his wives,
one of his
and
wives. Excuse me.
who's wanting a divorce
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah, and
Like I think
then
even her like static pose is very much like a I'm over it kind of
right,
face.
and then the other route is the ghost.
Yes, and so yeah, you actually got to choose in the demo. There's like the three options that you get to choose, and then there is a fourth that was like uh, another queer romance you could follow, and I forget the name, but it is the character you get to romance in the publicly available demo, you know, on Steam.
Hmm.
So that's not here because they had the three others, and yeah, we were kind of like, oh, who should we do? The person just before us did the ghost, and we probably I feel like we would
We
have
would have
done the
probably done
ghost,
that one. If
but we
not,
were like, we
yeah,
kind of just saw some of that,
we were like
and
watching over their shoulder.
the ghost is glorious, by the way. If
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find a screenshot and put that up here, but we were like, okay, let's do the canon route. let's do the
Let's just go with Drac
let's go
himself.
with Drac, and
Yeah, so it was a really nicely like sort of put together demo just in terms of, like the little arc of it. And so we went on a hunting trip with Dracula. Renfield clearly very obtuse, very, you know, not grasping onto all of the red flags.
yeah, like want to go on a hunting trip, and even other people are like, is that all you're gonna do out there?
Hmm.
And like just
He's
like
like, nobody brought any weapons? That's so weird.
strange. And then we'll get into my favorite part of the demo later in a bit.
But yeah, so there's just a few different options, you can select as you go through that little story arc. I sort of wanted to go with like the high risk, like follow Drac into the dark.
And speaking of that, if it was kind of on accident at first, but there is like a status screen that you can check
Right,
on,
right.
and on there it kind of shows you how your Renfield is going, right? And the things are like bold and like
Some,
risky or something
yeah.
like that, and so like you can kind of shape like how this version of Renfield turns out
Hmm.
personality wise. And so yeah, we definitely were going the risky routes more often than not, kind of playing the role of, well, I'm here with Dracula, I'm gonna do what he says, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to say too much about, the whole arc. I think people will, maybe want to play this
Yeah.
and but yeah, so you go on that little hunting trip and you encounter an animal that theoretically nobody should be able to take down. But of course Dracula does.
And
And
yeah, there's just like, it was like I
it
said.
ignites your lust and your loins.
Well, yeah, because it's the you can, right? Like there's the two options almost of
Right.
like, does it
Yeah.
intrigue you or
Or you
does it
can be
scare you?
disgusted by
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
because yeah, no, but this was the other part that's like kind of the funny, it's in the novel too, right? Of like, bro, catch on already, like where uh, like, oh, there's a scuffle, and then I see Dracula, and he's covered in blood, and it's strange though. I see no weapon in his hands. Instead, it seems as like the blood is like on his nails, and like, what's that about? Like,
Hmm.
that's just that kind of cluelessness from Renfield, which is fun to see, kind of recreated here in the
Yeah.
in Draculesti.
Boy, howdy, the cogs are turning, but not fast enough.
No, yeah. And then yeah, it wraps up kind of shortly after that. If you get back from the trip and you start to see some more weird things, he's like hosting like a party, right?
Hmm.
And he sees like people taken away to like certain rooms, and Dracula talks about sacrifice, and you're like, he's like, oh,
Like performing miracles.
yeah, and he's like, oh, strange. Renfield's just like, don't quite know what's happening, and then I think yeah, it just ends with like being escorted off, and the what is like the feeling of like 1,000 hands
Yeah.
escorting you away, and then it kind of cuts off.
Yeah, the writing was great. I loved that line especially. That was like, ooh. But all throughout it was really great. And um, like Nate was saying, they have that really beautiful sort of like blend of like I think I heard the artists there talking about they use a sort of similar, I think Amarantis used this as well, like having these like actual historical images are incorporated into the art and like sort of adjusted and
Yeah, yeah.
tweaked. And then yeah, just really great, character portraits, and really like truly stunning art.
There's some fun like cinematic panning and
Right.
zooming and
Yeah.
stuff on the landscapes.
Yeah, makes it very exciting. And there's one thing that was really cool is there's Twitch integration for that,
Oh right, yeah.
where like chat can vote on these decisions that
So
you're making. It
we
doesn't like force you into it, they said, but so you can more easily consider without creating like a poll in Twitch every single time or that sort of thing.
and we're always doing that anyway, right?
Yeah.
When we play these games with our our chat, and so like to be able to physically just like have that integrated directly into the game is really fun. And I mean, I don't think it'd be a surprise to say going to 1,000% be a Ferns Book Club inductee.
There's a high probability you'll see it soon.
um, they there's like I said, there's a publicly available demo,
Mhm.
and we will probably play this on our return trip to the cave that we will retreat in and not communicate with anyone until next PAX. um, but yeah, so look forward to that. Draculesti.
Yeah.
And then were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna continue the day.
And then when we finished that up, we were like, okay, let's try to do some more PAX Rising. And then we waited in lines and said, and we waited in the lines and we said,
It was so busy.
and then we were like, our appointment's coming up. Let's just take a step away, replenish, and get ready for this appointment, which was with Winterborough, which, if you do not recall, is a really cute survival crafting game that was debuted at the Xbox Showcase during this year's Summer Game Fest schedule. And it is a game where you play a little mouse who's coming back home. He's a little city mouse coming back to the country, literally, to go back to his home, his childhood home, the borough, where his aunt lives. And it's just this really cute, cultivating this borough and building it up, and trying to find your aunt because she's not there. She's not home, and it's left in kind of disrepair. And so it's up to you to like kind of fix it up, get it back up and operational, look for your aunt, avoid dangerous beetles and ants, or just insects, and eventually hopefully find your aunt and get the burrow up and operational. So for this, again, lines upon lines upon lines at this show. And another thing to be said is that at the PAX Rising area, it's a lot of smaller indie devs. They don't necessarily have a million stations available for their games.
Yeah.
And so the Winterborough only had one, and there was already like quite a line of people that wanted to check it out. So we ended up talking to the creative director on the project.
Just a little chat.
Yeah, and that was a really nice chat. Again,
Hmm.
not gonna talk too much about the details there. And we're actually playing it right now in the hotel room because the demo is also up only for a short time though.
Hmm.
It is up for the duration of PAX and then it will be gone, I believe, is the way.
How it seemed they were pitching
Yeah.
it to us. So
So um, we'll be playing it so that we can give, again, for the full article when that comes out. But it was a really nice chat,
yeah.
and the team is really passionate and excited, and yeah, just a
And
fun.
so are we.
Yeah. Then after that, we once again kind of like, is this when we took early lunch? No.
No. After that, it was nearby, so we just moseyed over. I believe it's Marvelous, the
Yes.
publisher. Had a pretty nice, little station going.
Every year they have,
They have a good selection.
and they do this thing where they do a stamp rally.
Right, right.
So you can get some kind. I don't even know what they give you
I
for
know.
it,
You
but
get some sort of prize for, playing all of the demos.
that they
Um,
have. Um, and one that had caught our eye quite a few times was the demo for Corpse Party 2. It is Corpse Party 2. What is the subtitle? It's some.
I can't remember right
We
now.
don't have it in our brains. Day 3, But Corpse Party 2, um, it is like a full, like proper, like third person 3D experience where the Corpse Party 1 was an RPG Maker game. It was sprite work, 2D sprite work, very very simple for what it was, And then I know a version of Corpse Party 2 that it was not quite ever finished, and it was kind of just like the beginnings of what a sequel could be. Um, was called Dead Patient, I think, and that had some kind of light 3D elements because I was going to be on 3DS or something, I think.
Mm,
But then now this is the proper Corpse Party 2
mm.
release here from Marvelous, and yeah, really interesting. One of the things they pointed out to us is, and we maybe didn't see the full potential of this in the demo you kind of mentioned, but they said all the audio was recorded with binaural audio, so it's like the ASMR style, the microphone that's 2 ears basically. So just hearing that already kind of puts me on edge of like, oh, this is gonna go places.
Yeah. I think that'll be used in some much more scary ways. In this one, it was more uh
Just like,
there was like a ringing phone
yeah,
and it was you were picking it up and like nobody was on the other end, but it had just been ringing and like you're trying to find your way out of this building. The phone doesn't work and like it's a freaky, like haunted thing like and so you're like, oh, but what, the phone isn't working, but it was just ringing, and then so you have to like walk away from it, and then it'll ring again, and like directs you back to it. So it was just used in that sort of simple way in this demo. But yeah, definitely, I think that'll be used for some
yeah.
real scares later on.
The the setup is really interesting. So similar to the first game where it's these kids in a school and they're like, let's play this. There's supposed to be a scary thing that happens if you do this,
Mm-hmm.
and then next thing you know, they're like sent into hell, basically, a hellish version of the school. Um, Similar thing here, where it is you are a bunch of friends get together in a old hospital, and your one friend is a streamer who likes to do like videos about urban myths and the same kind of thing, right? Those like scary stories children tell each other, and so they'd go to do this like you know
Like a
say
ritual.
ritual. That's the word I'm trying to find. Say Bloody Mary in the mirror, and then of course, yep, find themselves sent into hell, a hellish version of the hospital, and then
Got to do it for the content,
yeah, and then you're sent back out in to try to survive. The demo, I'm surprised, honestly, that it is kind of very light on.
Really, yeah, not so scary.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's very it's like it's long, but it like not much happens. Like it was kind
hmm
of an interesting way they handled that this particular demo. But yeah, like you said, it's primarily you hearing this phone ringing, going to check it out. No one answers. You do this like 3 or 4 times until finally uh, someone is
someone's on the other
someone's on
side.
the other side, making some weird noises, saying stuff like,
And then some freaky stuff does
"Yeah, yeah,
happen, but yeah, it's just so brief and like I guess it's probably kind of, unusual to show something like really scary or
and
gory
I think the game
on
itself is like from what I remember the first game, right? Like it is a lot. It's like a slow burn, right?
yeah.
So
It's
like
just hard to demo
yeah,
that.
you can't just go straight to like everything's gone to shit.
Yeah.
You kind of have to show that beginning part.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, it culminates in a voice screaming at you on the other line of like I'm gonna kill you or whatever, right?
So it's like a man's voice and then he yeah, he's like screaming something like that and then a woman is on the line also like responding to him um and like screaming and he's saying like look, this is your intestines or your
Oh
guts or
god.
something, like look at it. And then the people like the girls in the room, they're like, that sounds like Maria's voice, which
Yeah,
is
it's
one
one of
of
your
them.
yeah. And then
And then
she starts freaking out
after that, yeah, she starts like having some sort of effects
in
in real
well in
life.
her intestines, bro.
Yeah, and she like vomits. And so that's
That's kind of the
yeah,
climax of the demo,
that's
really.
the whole like scary bit.
Yeah, and
But
it's similar to the first corpse party, corpse party where, the it's kind of like it's just so visceral, right? Where it discusses how like she's got to clean the vomit off her, like it's like this silly kind of, but then like it really gets really serious really fast, and you're like, oh my god, and so it kind of shows that they're following that same kind of trend. Um, and yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. Kind of a weird demo, but kind of excited to see how this shapes up. I think they said no proper release date yet, but
yeah,
2025 is kind of the
I
hope.
think so.
Kind of what we heard a lot of on the show floor today.
Yeah.
No proper release date 2025. But then, yeah, that was a fun quotation marks, fun time. And after that, we were like, let's just wander. We've been doing that a lot, right? Like when in our free times, let's just wander, and if there's something open, just hop on it, and find out what's going on with it. And so that's
Hmm.
that's the experience we had with this next game, which was called Crystal Ball Critters, which essentially was hamster ball game. It's like monkey ball, but with little hamsters instead, and it's like a racing game where you pick a map pack basically, and there's 10 tracks seemingly of each on each map, and you just hamster ball roll your way to the end, jump around, and it was interesting because it's clearly and like they know and they're pretty upfront about it. It's like very early on. I think even the file name on the system was prototype, so it's like it's very early on. Like there was moments where they're like, "Hey, this is kind of broken. Can you go ahead and hit down on the D-pad and that'll like let you know clip around and stuff and get into this area because it's not properly loaded right now." Um, but it was fun. It was a fun little like we just sat down and again a demo that has a nice amount of seating is always up our alley, and so we hopped on and played a few rounds of that. And you can say what you're gonna
I
say.
have to call Nate out for
It's I just
sitting me down
it
at
was
this
open.
game, knowing that I'm trash at freaking these types of
You
games.
finished like all the maps except for like the
No,
ones
I
that it
didn't.
broke on.
I didn't. I didn't. I finished a couple of the maps, and then thankfully, at a certain point, it's just like, you win, Nate.
Um, as this happened a few times, we talked about it with Mr. Sleepy Man and a few other things where we've played some of these games to the point that we break them. We're masters of that.
Yeah, we're really good at that.
But it's a good thing, right? We are truly like bug testing, play testing on the floor for some of these games, you know?
We're
And
gonna get a reputation though. Like we're gonna be like the goblins of PAX. Everyone's gonna like
like don't let them
warn about
play.
us. They're gonna break your games.
Um Similar again, that game's done quick, like I've never seen that before. Like
Hmm.
we had that uttered during this demo, like, oh wow, I've never seen that bug, you know, and so that was kind of fun, you know. I feel like we're helping them in some small way by being gremlins.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, we kind of took another, you know, again, it wasn't as busy, but the day on the whole, but you know, still just lots of lines, especially for the stuff that we are particularly interested in. So we're like, let's just take a breather because our appointment was coming up, and we wanted to be prepared because we were meeting with Toge Productions, which is really cool. If you don't know, Toge Productions is an Indonesian studio who's known for games like Coffee Talk, A Space for the Unbound. Uh, they're working on Moses and Plato, Krieg's Front Tactics, both games that we've covered. We covered this last Steam Next Fest. What else did they have there? Except outside of the one we're about to talk about. I think that was pretty much all of it, huh?
That's all that's coming to my mind right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the game we checked out was called Whisper Mountain Outbreak, which is ostensibly, as we learned from talking with the CEO of Toge Productions, which is so cool that we appreciate that studio so much. So to be able to sit down with the CEO and chat a bit was really cool.
Yeah.
He described this as kind of a love letter to Resident Evil Outbreak, with a little bit of Left 4 Dead sprinkled in. So this is a 2D kind of top-down zombie survival game. It is co-op. The demo I played was just solo, but it's pick a mission, get into a zone. Oh wait, we're gonna write about this. I don't want to talk too much too,
Yeah.
but you get into a place, struggle with limited resources and solving puzzles, and get out. And um, yeah, sorry, my brain.
You just like heard a noise and then your brain went.
No more. So we played that. I died immediately in my first run and played again. And then we got to sit down and chat with the CEO. Also, again, shout out to them for having a dedicated media station, having it all squared away. They were ready for us. They were like, oh, perfect, yes, nice to see you. Ready to go. Kind of a theme of the day, for the most part. And we got to just have a really nice chat about the game, and then broadly about Toge Productions and what they mean to Southeast Asian
game development.
Yeah, and that was a really cool time. And they hooked us up with some fun stuff. Just this fun. This is like a Blu-ray case, which is so fun. It's a demo kit, and inside is a USB with a bunch of demos and like a fun booklet of like a bunch of information about the studio.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And more importantly, though, as we said at the beginning of this video, this is a callback, and we've told people on Discord we had shitty hotel coffee. Well, the people behind Coffee Talk hooked us up with some Indonesian coffee.
This was so amazing. I'm so excited for these.
But Julie's saying we may not even do it though, because we don't
While
have
we're in the hotel.
We don't have proper like cream and stuff, right? So
we can try one.
And maybe share it.
We'll just like try it black and get a sense of the flavor. But yeah,
there's some interesting flavors in here. There's one with like a pea berry. But that was a really fun and unexpected.
It's just so nice when somebody just like gives you something on the show floor.
They're like, here, take this, and you're like, huh?
Sometimes it's just so like unusual and unexpected like that, you know?
Well, yeah, like the demo kit, like I would expect something like that, and
Yeah.
then them be like, and here's some
They're like,
coffee.
here's Indonesian coffee. Oh, thank you. That's really cool.
I wish we could have told them like we were literally complaining about
Yeah,
coffee
all
earlier today.
morning.
It took we like walked away, and I was like, bro. um,
That was really cool though.
that was a really fun
That was a
appointment.
great conversation.
Yeah, those were.
I'm excited to publish that one.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
And I think that will be kind of broadly, Toge Productions at PAX.
Mhm.
How we'll kind of do that one. And then we finally sat down and said, we're going to wait in a line. We've been a little spoiled this year. We've been like, we don't want to wait in a line. We want to just walk up. And we said, no, this one's worth it. It is the newly announced as of, what was it? Was it Gamescom or the Switch? Was it a
Oh
Nintendo
God,
thing?
I don't remember.
I don't exactly remember right now off the top of my head when it was announced, but we went and checked out Herdling. Herdling.
Hurdling.
The note says S, but I don't think it is. I think it is just Herdling.
I think it's hurdling. You're right.
A game where you play as this young child living in the remains of a city who just wakes up one day hearing something off in the distance and wandering over and finding this beautiful, strange kind of beast. The calico corn, I think.
Calicorn, maybe?
Calicorn? Yeah, calicorn. Just this strange. It's just really hard to explain it, honestly. It is like from the back, right? It kind of looks like a big buffalo or something, right? Or like like a giant ram, but
But vertical?
yeah, it's like standing up.
Like from the back it's like, almost like a big fuzzy cape
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
thing.
with
It's
horns.
kind of giving like where the wild things are.
But then when you see it in the front, you're like, okay, I'm gonna see all its dangly legs and stuff. There's no dangly legs, but when it moves, you kind of feel like you see the
Yeah, you can
limbs
see like its
internally.
haunches
Yeah.
like moving
Well,
inside
and
its
even when it's
fur.
like walking forward, you can kind of see like some protrusions within the like skin, I
Yeah.
guess, and so it's just like a kind
It's
of
a
a
weird creature.
weird little guy.
I like that
And
guy.
this particular one that you first see has something stuck on its face, and the kid's trying to like help, and it's like running away from you, and it knocks down this branch from a tree, and then the kid grabs it. And I don't know if like they have magical powers or something, but like something happens to it, and you now have the ability to herd the calicorn. And it took a while for me to understand exactly what was happening, because yeah, it's like it just says press R2 to tell the calicorn where to go, and it shoots out these like flower petals, and then the calicorn kind of walks off in that direction. I kept like holding it, tapping it, trying to figure it out, and like the flowers were just kind of like going off into the corner, and the calicorn was just kind of stuck over there in the corner, and it
Just
was
like
like,
face to the
yeah, and
wall.
I was like, how do I get you to move? And then I was like, oh, like it took me a second, but like it never like told me, and I think I liked that. Like it never just said like, here's what you need to do. It didn't have like a little picture in picture and showed another version of me doing it. Like it just left me to figure it out, and I like that because I eventually did kind of go, wait, do I need to just like I need to herd this thing, like even if the way I first thought about it was like not quite like true like sheepdog situation, but like as if I was tapping it on either shoulder to kind of guide it. And that's basically what you have to do is you stand behind it and you shoot out a row of the flowers kind of to tell it, hey, don't go any further in this direction. Then it starts kind of angling off this way, and you do the same thing this way, and then you just keep doing that back and forth to where it kind of keeps heading down a certain path. And so that's kind of the core mechanic.
Hmm.
And then you eventually find like another little guy, another calicorn, and you help him out. The big one is like immediately, like I need to help the little baby, and it's scared of you, so you have to like open up a path for it and everything, and they reunite, and then you tame this one, and then now you're a pack, and then you find another one, and now you're a bigger pack, and so suddenly you have this herd of calicorns, and it's up to you to kind of guide them to safety. And yeah, they stop. They both like they all kind of run up to this like street art basically of like mountains and what seems to be more calicorns, um, standing and looking out into the distance, and they're like so intrigued by it. It like magically transforms to be like even more beautiful, and you're like, oh. And like there's like a sign right next to it that's like mountains this way, and so you're like, okay, they want to go home. They want to go to their natural home, and so you guide them through the city, and then finally find yourself kind of bursting out into nature. And then this is a really fun part because it kind of like really picks up the music. The music is beautiful, by the way. It's very kind of like just like woodwind and percussion kind of vibes, and you you like really picks up, and they're like happy to be out in the field, right? And it starts to introduce like faster movement where you can like run with them, and then eventually it says like stampede, and this is like the music really picks up, and it turns like they're sprinting along, and you have to like kind of hit it to the beat almost. And this is another one of those moments where it's like it's kind of teaching you without teaching you, where the stampede eventually runs out, and I was like, oh, well, how am I? What's making this happen? How is this maintaining?
Like, is it stamina? Like,
Yeah,
what is
like
it?
what's happening? And then finally, I'm like, oh, if I just look, what's different in this area is there's these pockets of flowers, and so every time you run through the flowers, it replenishes your stampede ability. And so it becomes this fun little sequence where you're like guiding them further along the path. Like you can clearly see there's like somewhere to go in the distance kind of thing, hitting these pockets of flowers and guiding them along. And it just like felt so like, like we're going, oh yeah. And this train comes along and you're all running alongside it and run off into the distance, and then the demo ends and you want more
Oh.
and you want more. And yeah, it was just really cool, really beautiful. Like you immediately build that bond, with these strange creatures. Like you really want to help them. And yeah, we're super excited for it. We had While we were waiting in line, we got to talking with one of the people working the booth, and it turns out someone we have had connection with in the past, through some like PR stuff, and this is where they are now, and we just get to chatting about just a little bit about everything, and you know uh, all that to say, we're potentially going to be able to talk with the developers tomorrow, um, which we got to do that too. But we'll see what if we can make it happen. But yeah, it was just a fun experience, and like one of those things like I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we dedicated the time to set aside and finally wait in a line and make this happen. It was well worth it, and it was a really fun time. And then I think we finally had lunch. We actually tried a different spot in the newer wing of the convention center that wasn't, or this part of the convention center that
Newer
wasn't,
to us.
yeah, newer to us. So it was the Nintendo side last year, and it was like some Asian food, and you had a banh mi. I had some like orange chicken with rice. It was just a good filling meal. I think kind of put us in a good spot. Got to rest our feet again. Again, just healthy choices. Healthy choices.
We're doing it.
And then what did we do after that?
We just had our next appointment.
Oh, next appointment. Yeah. Again, yeah, I'm remembering now not to talk too much about the
Yeah.
ones that we're writing about.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna cover it.
Tears of Metal, which is the new game from Paper Cult. There you go. I found it. The developers of Blood Roots, which is a really cool game that came out a couple of years ago. And this is, you know, uh, I'll just shorten it down to the way I describe it from now having played it too a little bit. It kind of fills the brief. It's just Scottish Dynasty Warriors, but it's a roguelike. And yeah, that was a really fun time. They clapped for me when I won, when I beat the demo.
They did. That was
Um,
beautiful.
and we got to chat with someone from the team. Um, and yeah, it was a fun little moment in our day.
You're getting there,
I'm
bud.
losing
You're
it.
getting there.
um,
So yeah, more to come on that one.
yeah.
We will be covering that.
See, it's harder when I don't get to talk about it. I don't know how to move
Don't know where
on.
to cut yourself
Yeah.
off.
And then yeah, that was just like a nice chill time. And then we went from there to uh, another game that we were like, hey, this is another one that we've been walking by and wanting to stop at. And that was Usual June from Finji, which it was funny when I ended up chatting with the Usual June team for quite a while Julie was playing the demo.
Hmm.
And but it is interesting. Like I was looking at that Finji board and I'm just like, wow, like literally every game, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at there and I'm like, Teenage Exocolonist, Game of the Year nominee, Chicory, Game of the Year winner, Night in the Woods, Beloved, obviously, Wilmot's Warehouse, and now Wilmot Works It Out, which is the other game they have there. A game that I truly enjoy. And yeah, you ended up playing, but before we were like waiting to play, we ended up chatting with someone who turned out to be like the lead programmer on Usual June, or one of the programmers. I don't know necessarily if he was the lead programmer, but one of the programmers, and just had like a really fun started having a really fun chat just about games and PAX and all kinds of stuff. And then Julie gets pulled away to the demo, and then I'm still there chatting away, just
Just yapping
being a
it up.
yapper. And then another person comes up, and we're just yapping some more, and then eventually my first new friend, hopefully, says, "Oh yeah, this is the art director on Usual." I'm like, "Oh my god!" and we're just chatting, just about games, just about the Usual June, and having a great time. But I'll it was just a fun. Again, we talked about that earlier, like just a lot of fun connections that we made today.
Hmm.
But you were actually playing the game, so tell us about your experience with Usual June.
Quick karate chopping me. Um, yeah, I mean, feel free to chime in too,
Yeah,
because you played the full demo. I
the
actually didn't get to finish the demo today.
because we're gremlins, we'll get to it. But yeah, I this demo had come out a couple like not that long ago, and before PAX, I hopped in and checked it out and beat it. And so yeah, I was like, yeah, go ahead. And that's why I was also like, I already know this, so
What do I
I'm
do?
just gonna yap with these folks.
Yeah. So I actually like I haven't read like the Steam description or anything for this game, so I don't sort of know the broader story other than what I played today. So I'll
I
just
mean,
talk about like the hands-on.
I'll
But
say that like yeah, there was a first trailer, and like even that, like I told the team, like I didn't really, I was like, what's the game? What's what is it? I don't really know. It's just this girl, and she's like talking to like some ghost, like
yeah,
that's kind of like the main thing that the first reveal had. And I'm like, what's the game? And then what the game turned out to be, not what I expected, but I'm all in for it anyway. And
yeah,
so yeah, continue.
yeah. So you're a girl who can talk to ghosts. You're June, and you're with your friend Sunny in what what seems like some sort of like big lab or like a what do you call it? Like a planetarium.
Yeah,
That is
observatory kind of.
observatory. That's what I'm trying to think of. Something like that. And you're there to like look around for something. But you end up, seeing this ghost. I think you're actually like pursuing like the story or like the origin of this ghost. It's sort of like a local like legend or something. And so, you're there and you find the ghost, but it seems like maybe your friend doesn't know that you have this sort of like supernatural power, and so you're like not communicating it to her at all. Um, and you're just like, yeah, you're following the ghost, up through the observatory.
Turn on a
You
machine.
do some little puzzles, really simple puzzles, like just getting like a working battery to put into the door, open the door, go talk to the ghost some more. And it keeps talking about wanting to go home and saying, like, we have to go home, not just he has to go home. Um, and then eventually you get sort of like ripped into this portal with it into his home. What was his name? Teddy?
Teddy.
Teddy. So you go with him, and it hints at the fact that you've been there
Yeah, she's
before.
like,
She's
oh, I'm
like,
back
"Oh, we're
here.
here again,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, I didn't know that you've been here." And it's this weird, sort of like, I don't know, spirit world, or
Yeah.
like, there's like, it's like crystals everywhere, and it's like, not earthly, clearly.
The way I felt and described it is kind of like it felt like a cellular structure. Like it was just
Mm,
like kind of like weird ribbons and like kind of that weird like angular kind of like, you know what I mean? Like you see
yeah.
in a textbook, right? Like cell walls and
Mm,
stuff, and these strange shapes,
yeah. So you're there, and then it sort of like introduces combat to you. There are some like dangers around. These little like
Buggy.
freaky stick bug
Yeah.
type of monsters. Um, and so you do like some slashing. You have like a light attack and a heavy attack, and um, some like throwables. And yeah, so you just learn to do some of the little fighting. You're making your way through, and you're trying to find like
Someone named Blackhurst.
Blackhurst. Yeah, like it seems like he did something to Teddy,
Yeah,
or
like
like
whatever,
took something from
either
Teddy.
whatever made him a ghost
Yeah,
or
seemingly related to Teddy's death, I
yeah,
think.
and like it's like almost feels like implied like experimentation
Yeah,
kind of thing.
some sort of like scientific ickiness happened. I don't know. And so I didn't actually make it to finding Blackhurst, because I
You broke the
did
game.
I did break the game once again.
In our
And it
defense,
just froze. It sounds like it
yeah,
was
they were
one
like
that,
it
like a
happened
soft
again.
lock that
Yeah.
had happened a couple of times. So
I think
they were aware.
they even like took a picture to be like, here's what it looked like, like
Mm,
when it happened. I think the person like took a
yeah, they
picture
did.
to be like, okay, like let's log this and then reset the station. And
Yeah,
we were like, you were pretty close to the end. We have an appointment coming up, so not necessarily gonna hop in and
yeah.
do it again.
But
Um,
I liked what I played. And I'm definitely intrigued to find out more.
yeah, when I say that it's like not what I expected, is that
Hmm.
like when you first see it, like your brain just goes like, oh, it's like a narrative adventure game. It's like
Yeah,
Life is
yeah,
Strange, or
has that very like artsy, just like
yeah, kind of.
really.
I forget if the demo really manifests this, but
Mm,
kind of has that like Spider-Verse-y.
yeah, a little
Okay,
bit. Yeah, and someone behind me was commenting on that too.
yeah, kind of Spider-Verse-y lower frame rate for
Hmm.
just the character, and just like I just talking to ghosts. I was like, okay, it's like a mystery, or you're working with this
Right.
ghost to solve a mystery, right? And you are,
Hmm.
but it's actually also like heavily like this kind of arena combat
Hmm.
game where you get into these like instances, and you have to like really combat like all these different waves of enemies, and like unique combos of like ranged and like heavy armor, and and a lot more combat heavy than
Yeah.
you'd expect, and has a really interesting flow in that way. Has like a currency that you can like buy stuff. It's just way more involved than in that way
Hmm.
than you would expect from a first look, and not looking at the store page, not really knowing as much about it. This is the first time they were saying that it was really playable and put in the hands of people right in front of them, you know.
Yeah.
And so they were really excited by like all the feedback and stuff that they got. And so yeah, you know, we walked away from that feeling really nice. Again, just another nice conversation, nice people, and then we headed to our last appointment of the day, which was with Playism. You may remember that we covered Playism last year as well with
Yeah, pretty extensively.
yeah, with Fight Crab, with Mecha Bringer, and I don't think we actually ended up putting out our last one.
Mm.
But we did 3 games for them last year, and we did 3 games this year,
Yeah,
and hopefully
the
we'll
trend
end up
continues.
putting out all 3 this year.
Yes.
This time we checked out Nitro Express, which was newly announced as of like last month, I think. Yeah, I don't think by the time when we booked it, I don't think it had been announced. Then Haruka Beyond the Stars, which is kind of okay. Nitro Express is kind of like a Metal Slug like, where you're playing as a member of like a special forces team in Japan, like a fictional version of Japan. Then Haruka Beyond the Stars is kind of a the way I find it really interesting the way they describe it. They keep saying it's a juvenile sci-fi RPG. So they really emphasize the fact that it's like you're a child and it's like kind of fun and silly and it's not so like self-serious at all, you know, and it's just a sci-fi RPG. And last one was Outrider Mako, a game that's like a top-down kind of 2D action game where you are beautiful sprite work and that just very expressive. Everything feels like it's breathing and moving. It's just like constant, you know.
I heard a lot of people walking by comparing it to like a Spirited Away.
Yeah, because you drop into this world of gods and you're like having to, you know, work alongside them and they feel kind of off and you're making deliveries. It's the actual goal of the game is you're making deliveries for the gods. And we played all 3 games and then we got to chat with the executive producer of Playism, Shunji Mizutani. Talked with him last year. They remembered us, which was really cool. Him and his interpreter, which was really fun. Like you know, just to be remembered feels nice. We're memorable
for sure.
And yeah, just another really fun chat. You know, it was probably our longest interview yet because 3
Talking
games.
About 3
games, and we even made sure to limit, you know, so we're not going over, but it was still a pretty long interview, but a good one. And then we went shopping.
Just a shout out again. I think we
to
Playism, like just always doing it up for like their appointments.
Yeah, I think
for their whole like experience, really, for anyone stopping by.
So yeah, so this was their Playism's working with a different PR company this time, and that's kind of I think who was running the booth. And yeah, we show like before we even show up for our appointment, I see there's a PC that has a sign that says reserved. I was like, okay, that's great. Like, you know, so many times a lot of the issue with some of these appointments is like, oh well, we have someone there, you know, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But like,
but it's also like, but we scheduled this on your calendar.
Yeah.
Like you knew we were coming to demo this, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so like, you know, we have that and we're like, oh, thank God. And then they have these like great rolling, like yellow, beautiful branded yellow, because their Playism's all yellow chairs that are really comfy.
Very
like,
plush, very comfortable.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
You show up and everyone's like shaking your hand and being like, video games are good? Oh, awesome. Yeah, we have you ready. We have a computer over there reserved for you, you know, and you're like, oh, this is great. And you show up and it's like one seat at the thing and they're like, do you need a seat? We'll bring one over for you. We have extras. And you're like, oh my God. And then, you know, you're playing and they're like, do you need a water? We have water. And you're like, this is amazing. And so like they really are just running a great operation over there that just makes our, you know, we're doing a job too, and they're making it as easy as possible for us.
Yeah.
And you know, no matter the size, right? I feel like doesn't matter who you are, like they're gonna do that for you, you know.
Hmm.
And so that was really sweet. So yeah, just like all around, just good vibes, and it was a great way to end the day. It was almost like towards the end, it was almost like, oh no, am I inconveniencing them? You know,
Hmm.
like, like normally it's like we're almost like made to feel that way sometimes with some of these appointments. Like, oh, I'm being a bother to you, and I'm sorry, but like this is like, oh, I don't want to be a bother to them because of how nice they've been. And so yeah, that was really great. Shout out to them over there. And then yeah, we did some shopping to end the day. Just some little things. Got some little pins. Got this cute Persona 5 pin. You probably can't see it.
Get
That
closer with that.
Persona 5 pin that it actually spins. I have it pointing at charm. You know, I was putting on the charm today. Um, but it has, you know, the social stats from that game:
Hmm.
knowledge, guts, proficiency, kindness. And then, of course, we had the rep. We got the Life is Strange Arcadia Bay, Oregon pin.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Probably not the last shopping, but you know, we wanted to try to get something under our.
We're just getting really little things here and there.
Yeah.
It's honestly great that we haven't been like too tempted by too many things.
Yeah.
We can be a little more picky and
The
frugal.
other thing I wanted to get was sold out, which is a really cool pizza box cover
Yeah, for the
for
play
the play
date.
date. Like it makes it look like it's its own little pizza box, and sold out.
They're gonna be making more.
But yeah, um, yeah, and then we came home. We had we were like, let's be frugal tonight and only eat some of the. We brought a bunch of snacks. That's gonna be our dinner. We ordered room service, and that's all we ate.
Because we were like gonna supplement it with like a salad from room
Yeah, we were like,
service.
let's just get a salad, and then we're like, let's get salad
I'm
and
I'm I'm
fries.
full from the
Yeah, and
salad.
then
Yeah.
yeah, ate both, and then we were nice and full. We also ate quite a lot at the executive lounge. had
Yeah,
some. They had
we
some.
snacked up
They had
on
some
their free food.
empanadas and fruit. It's such a relief to be able to just eat fruit at the end of at the end of a long day.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was day 3.
Day 3 done.
Long day. Felt long, but like fulfilling and good. And then yeah, day 4 is gonna be we're the end of our obligations is what, like
Hmm.
two
Like
thirty 3,
yeah, somewhere around there.
and so we'll have a lot of time afterwards to just really hit last chance things.
There are a couple of like the big guys that we want to try and hit, I think.
PlayStation Astrobot, Nintendo with Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Mario Party. If we can try to get both, that'd
It
be
would be really cool
yeah.
to be able to check those out. The lines have of course been longest for those,
But I
but
think
we'll
tomorrow is just
see.
like we just have to bite the bullet and
Yeah.
go for it. And if we can't get that done in 4 hours, like how's
Ugh.
that? How what? Because tomorrow will be the shortest lines. Everything will be so easy to get into. So
I think there's
yes,
a pretty good chance.
yeah. But we have some fun, mostly uh, interviews. Like we have a few just interviews, and
Hmm.
then 2 games with no interviews. So it's kind of a weird mix where we're normally doing the 2 together. Um, but yeah, we're looking forward to tomorrow, and we'll let you know how that all goes. And another day done. Another day done.
And we are 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah,
And then we're headed home
to
to
sleep.
write all of this up.
I'm gonna give myself one day to just veg out and pet Phyllis.
Yeah.
Um,
Lots of reconnecting with Phyllis, regaining her trust.
she's already abandoned us and is fully adopted mom toyed as
Yeah.
her new
She's
parent.
like, well, guess it's just you and me now.
But yeah. Any last words? Take us out.
None.
Take us out.
Stay tuned for day 4. Do a thumbs up.
We did it. One more. Bye.
Hey, can I show y'all something really cute and small? Check this out. I'm stealing it from this hotel. Hey, you want to see something really cute and small? Check this shit out. Who made this? Who needs your single serving Tabasco sauce?
That's like 2 shakes.
Dink, dink. I'm keeping it forever.